As I was talking to him, a light bulb went off and it was like, you can make some content out of this. So one of my homies from church, Christian Dukes, he hit me up on Instagram and told me that he wanted to learn how to basically use Lightroom and figure out how to do certain things on Lightroom. So I told him I got him. Whenever I had time, we could just sit down and chop it up. So yesterday, I had to shoot at church for a pastor's gathering, and he noticed that after certain breaks, I would sit and start editing the picture so I can send it off to the media team so they can put everything together. And he came by and was like, hey, I see that you working now, so you know why I got you here, let's chop it up. I'm like, okay, cool, let's do that. So I was like, what is it that you want to know? And he was telling me all the basic things that he knew, and he was just trying to, figure out how I approach Lightroom and what it is that I did. So I told him all the basic stuff, how I started off, lens correction, the picture's too noisy, you can denoise, not too much, because I'm a very minimalistic editor, so I don't try to do too much. Sometimes I do too much and I overthink it. And that was one of the messages that I was telling him, like, once you get in there, just, do the basic stuff that you already know, but then don't get in there and just be in there for hours on one picture and just start doing too much and overthinking it, because once you do that, you'll get overwhelmed, and just don't do that. So I was, telling him the basic stuff, and as I was talking to him, a light bulb went off and it was like, you can make some content out of this. So, you're welcome. But now, I was like, I can make some content out of this and just, just speak on how I approach things and just be helpful to people, because, the main goal is when you get a gift from God, you got to give back. So that's what I'm trying to do, put myself in front of the camera a little bit more. If people need suggestions on how they do certain stuff, I can sit in front of the camera and talk about it. But as we was talking about the basic stuff, I was just telling him, like, first of all, like, what's your style? He was like, he don't really just have one right now. He's just trying to, feel everything out to get a style. And I was like, so basically that's what you need to work on. Because after I gave him the rundown of how I do stuff, I told him, I was like, figure your style out. Because when I first started, I had other photographers and they was telling me how they started and how they did Lightroom, and then I was trying to mimic their style, and I was getting overwhelmed and getting upset and wanted to quit and all that. I was like, bro, it's all simple. But the first thing is find your own style, get comfortable with it, get it right in camera. So once you bring it over to Lightroom, you ain't really just got to do too much. Because I was telling him that my style, I like deep shadows. I like my blacks to be dark. I like my whites to be white. I don't like to do too much. I don't like to be overwhelmed. I like to get it in and get it out. So I don't want to do too much. And I think another question he was asking me about was about masking. I was like, to be honest, bro, I don't deal with that. I love how some photographers can get in there and do their editing with masking, and nah, I don't deal with that. But I told them that what I got from masking is they basically want to bring the subject, bring them to the forefront and kind of darken the background a little bit. But I told them I mess with it a little bit, but nah, like I said, I'm minimalistic. I'm not finna mess with all that. I'm gonna do what looks good to me, and I'm out of there.